Welcome back, everybody. Hope everyone's 2025 is off to a great start here. Wanted to continue this challenge that I have made for myself in my second video after the second week of the year. As I mentioned in my previous video, where I didn't really talk about I talked a little bit about gear, but wanted to actually make a video for 2025 talking about the gear that I'm using to help me complete this challenge to myself of one video a week on YouTube. So clearly, if you follow me on any of my socials for TikTok or Instagram, you know that I'm posting every day, shorter videos, nothing crazy content, but just kind of sharing my different, photos, videos, the content that I'm producing in a much more short form fashion. But for this video, like I said, I'm gonna be diving into the gear that I'm gonna be using to help me continue this content creation journey for 2025. So if you have any questions about this gear, if you have any questions whatsoever just about my background, anything for me, drop a comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you find this of any value for yourself. But to kind of jump into things, because this isn't going to be too much of a technical deep dive, I wanted to start out on the camera that I'm actually filming on right now, which is my Fujifilm XH2. This is my main video camera, and while for those who are in the Fuji ecosystem, we all know that this is not that much of a video camera as compared to photography, because I did not opt for the XH2S because at the time I wanted to get something that had the higher megapixel for photography, because a lot of my video right now, in all honesty, I'm doing as a talking head, so I don't have to worry about rolling shutter or anything like that. But this 40 megapixel sensor, which is the same thing I have on my XT50, is just phenomenal. The quality of images that this thing produces is mind-blowing for an APS-C camera. I don't have any full frame cameras anymore, so I did want to go for a higher megapixel APS-C. And the one thing I will talk in addition to this camera is the #1 lens that I use with this camera, which is my newest lens. And it's actually the Viltrox 27mm f1.2. If you don't have a lens like this, and granted, I do have two other 27mm lenses, the Fuji Pancake, I also have the TT Artisan Pancake. This thing is just optically as close to perfect as you're gonna get. I love this combination. I sometimes put this on my XT50, but that being said, I don't go as much into, it's just too big for that camera. And, overall, I am a huge fan of this lens. It's just pristine. So next, I want to dive into my other, camera that's always all over my channel. It's really what I started this channel with, and that is my XT50. And this is what got me to love Fuji. And, I'm just a huge fan of this camera overall. I mean, it's just spot on. I do kind of wish that when I first got this camera that I had gone with the XT5, or in all honesty, the XT4, because the #1 problem for me is just this screen. I mean, this is fantastic for just photography, but for videography, it's not ideal because I can't do any sort of this talking head type stuff because I can't see it. I do use it sometimes for, my drop down where, ultimately I can see what's going on, or if I have an overhead shot for those kind of shots. But this camera just got me to love Fuji. I love the entire aesthetic of it. Right now, I actually have this old Minolta lens, I want to say, on it with an adapter. It's a 50mm, fully manual. This thing, for being as old as it is, produces some high quality images, and I am just a huge fan of this lens overall. It's a lot of fun to play with, and in my opinion, it is the perfect combination for a camera like the XT50 because it has almost that older tactile, I mean, it is tactile because it's fully manual, but it just has a certain nostalgic feel to it, almost like a 50s reporter-esque kind of photo. Spider-Man vibes, if you will, which is in the 50s, but I think you know what I'm going for. It reminds me of the Pentax K1000 that I have downstairs, which I don't know if that works. I haven't played enough with it. I need to try it out because I do have some actual, I wanna say I have some Portra 400 film for it. Might be Portra, might be Velvia. It's one of the two, neither here nor there. This is my go-to camera. I carry it everywhere and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it really is just like a creative companion. Compact, lightweight, perfect for street, candid portraits. The film simulation dial, which some people love, some people don't. I think it's a lot of fun. It's just, for me getting into Fujifilm, I thought this was a very fun addition to start and explore the film simulations, which Fuji is just so touted for. But I'm definitely gonna keep playing with this camera. I'm not 100% sure if going through 2025, I'm gonna end up keeping this camera, because like I said, I kind of wish I would have gone for the bigger like XT4 or XT5. Like I said, I love the XT4. A friend of mine has the XT4 and just the flip out screen for on-the-go video. It is a little bit more convenient than having to carry the XH2 with me because the XH2 is just a behemoth, and everybody who has held an XH2 knows that. It's the size of a full frame camera for an APS-C, but as the weatherproofing, it just has everything you need. But then again, so does the XT4 and 5 series. On to my second to last Fuji camera that I'm gonna talk about, because I have a few more, but these are for my actual photography as a business slash professional hobby in a sense. This is one that I've already talked about, and this is my X100T. And I had always wanted one of the X100 series, and I know I made a video about this last year talking about how I got a great deal on this camera, but it's just a classic. I found this thing in mint condition and I have a lot of fun with it. I mean, I've found myself using it a little bit less than I want to because of the fact that I have my next camera, which I haven't talked about at all really on the channel. But the good thing is my wife actually does love this type of camera, and while she has her own Fuji, I'm definitely gonna be letting her use this more in 2025 because it's a fun camera, not having to worry about changing lenses, has the film simulation. There's something about the optical viewfinder that's just unlike anything else, and who knows? I do really like the optical viewfinder, so, oh, turned it on. Who knows? It's an X Pro in the future. Let's see if they come out with the 4, because if they come out with an X Pro 4, that might be on the gamut. So my last Fuji camera, which I haven't talked about, and is my newest, but it's kind of just a classic. The XE3, which I have this paired with the 28mm f2.8. This camera is just, it's a lot of fun. It reminds me of the X100T. It is very small and compact, and it has the 24.3 megapixel sensor. Granted, unlike the XT50, this does not have any image stabilization, but on the go, this is fun if I want to carry a Fuji. And this doesn't have the tilting screen at all. It's just kind of flat there, but it does have the electronic viewfinder. I paired this with the JJC hand grip. It's simple, it fits in my pocket, but is it still a entirely pocketable camera? Jacket pocket, yes. which works if I have a sling bag too. That's always something that, you know, I can work with. But let's talk about the Pocket Beast, because we're not going to talk about the Osmo Pocket just yet, but we're going to talk about the Pocket Beast. This is a camera that everybody on the channel knows about. This was my camera that actually got my photography kickstarted again. Oh, I have too many cameras here, kind of distracting the shot, but such is life. The GR3X. Now, granted, I put a skin on this just because I love that, almost like the Fujifilm nostalgic look. This is the beast. The Ricoh GR3, which is just, anybody who has played with this camera, anybody who knows this camera, just knows how powerful of a camera it is. I carry this thing with me everywhere just because it can literally fit in my chest pocket. Anything I need to do, it's the go-to. So who knows, is Ricoh actually gonna come out with a GR4 in 2025? We'll see. So those are the main cameras. You know, I had to end on the non-Fujifilm because this thing is a beast. The last few lenses I wanted to go over for the Fujis, these are just pretty straightforward ones. I didn't want to spend the $1,200 or $1,100, whatever it is, for the 16 to 55. So I actually ended up getting the Sigma 18 to 50. This thing, for how big of a range it has, is just tiny. I mean, if you line this up with the Viltrox, like, it's not even as big. And just like the range on this is incredible. It's a fixed, or I mean, it's 2.8 to, I want to say 16, but you know, overall, this lens is just, if you need a zoom lens and it has some extent of weather sealing, there's this little rubber thingy on it. This thing is a beast, a pocket beast, and it fits on just about anything. So that's the cool one. I don't use this as much because I'm very into my prime lenses overall, which brings me to my next prime, which is the classic Fujifilm 35mm 1.4. Now I have the square lens hood on it, so it doesn't need to be as big as it is, but this is a nice lens. I like it a lot. Super sharp, doesn't really miss. It is a little bit slower on the autofocus, but they've had the same lens since like 2014. They just keep reproducing it, and I think that says enough in itself. If you have the same lens for now 11 years and it works, don't mess with things that work. What else do I got here? I mean, I have the 28mm, 27mm 2.8, which was on my XE3, so I'm not gonna go back over that. I also have the 23mm f2, which this is a fun lens. This goes great with the XT50 or the XE4 or XE3 that I have. This is just a good lens overall. It's small, compact, and sharp. I also have a mist filter on here, which is just super dusty right now. Huge fan of this lens. I don't use it enough, in all honesty. The last lens is the one I'm currently using as well, which is my Viltrox 13mm 1.4. This is what I use for all my talking head videos. It's just so wide. It gives me such a good range for talking heads, and autofocus is fast, picture is crystal clear. And I have a quarter mist filter on this as well, just because I like the way it looks. It gives my videos just a nice vibe overall, so I'm a huge fan of that. So let's go into the we already went into non-Fuji cameras. So my last two items that are noteworthy, and I use this one all the time on the channel, is the Osmo Pocket 3. If we can get a nice zoom here, we're gonna just lock onto my eyes the whole time. There we go. This thing is a beast. Everybody, once again, who has used this, like, look at that. I just love the way the gimbal works. It is this is like the ultimate creator camera, in my opinion. The way it actually syncs up with the mics, DJI has just created a absolutely incredible system. So if you haven't played with one of these, get one of these. I'm debating actually picking up one of the Osmo Pocket, or not the Pockets, the Action 5. I've seen really good things about those, or the Insta360 with that little, I don't know what it's called, but the little camera that detaches from it. This is so much fun. I carry this once again everywhere I go. My most travel-friendly setup actually, when I want to do video and photo, is the GR3 with the Osmo Pocket. You got the video aspect, you got the incredible photos. This is just a combo that literally fits in any bag. And while this is even more pocketable, if I take that off, it's tiny. I mean, if you can compare it to the GR3, it's still super tiny. A lot of fun, love this camera. Anybody who wants one, just go get it. It's just such a good investment. And my last DJI product, DJI, sorry. If you watch this video, can't speak correctly. I have not really talked about this much on the channel, but the Neo. I am not a drone photographer, videographer in any way, shape, or form. I don't fly things. I'm still getting into the video aspect, but the videos that this thing produces are just so cool because the fact that it's all AI tracking. Like, you don't have to, you can control it with your phone, but you can just do everything literally by pressing a button. I'm not gonna do that because it's super loud, especially directly next to my mic, but I'll show some videos here as well, just to kind of give you a little bit more of the detail around how much fun this thing is. Like, it follows you. It doesn't have the most extensive battery life, but if you're just trying to do quick clips, it's much better for horizontal video because of the fact that it only shoots 4K 30. But if you're just getting into the drone world and you just want to get some stabilized shots, this thing, well, it can miss, but it just doesn't miss, honestly. It's simple, it's sweet, 200 bucks. It's not like you're gonna be out a ton of money. I have noticed if it goes out of range, there's a tendency it may fly away. But aside from that, it's just awesome. I haven't had to worry about that just yet because I was able to move within range. So I'm gonna be using this a lot more in 2025 than I did in 24 to create some videos where more YouTube oriented, more behind the scenes footage, more B-roll. This is a beast for that, just to, if you don't have any assistance or anything like that. This is a lot of fun. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. I just realized how much gear I got in 2025 or 2024, which is a little bit concerning. That's okay. New year does not necessarily mean new gear, but let's be real. I know I'm gonna end up getting something new, so I don't know what that is yet. Let's see what Fuji releases. Let's see if, will they finally venture into the full frame world? Will we go medium format? I don't know what I'm feeling for this year, but I'm just making it the biggest goal to keep producing content. So thank you all for being part of the journey so far. We're just getting started and excited to see what we can do in 2025. Peace.